Well, the draft is underway and we have the first bands coming up. Lilia and Ivern on Team Go Aurora. Team Go Aurora is on blue side while Big Chroma is on red side, exactly. We have Lilia and Ivern banned. On the other side we have Pantheon and Ziggs. Who do you think, Regulus, are going to be these last bands? Okay, Tristana.
Yeah, Tristana going away there. For the side of Big, it's clear that, I mean, they're taking away the Pantheon, which is something we've seen Sana on previously. The Ziggs, really strong pick. Lots of lockdown taken away there from the side of Big Chroma. And then you see that Renekton on B1 there. Just a very strong sort of catch-all pick at the minute. And we've seen throughout the tournament the prevalence of Renekton in so many of these games. Yeah. Probably, quite possibly, the most picked champion alongside Rel here, which we've just seen there taken up for Lumi. Lumi's Magna Storms yesterday were absolutely disgusting. So two really, really strong picks from both teams. And we could see, the jungle come through and the J4 potentially, or they might just take the strong bot lane. Okay, so we see the Xayah potentially coming in there for the side of Xavi. So they've got really good anti-dive already coming through as we see the Renekton and we see the Xin Zhao. But there's a small pivot here. Lilian onto the Syndra can be used to follow up on those dives. The big scatter the weak, loss of control there, as Jay was talking about. And then Vixen on that Xerath, which we saw was so powerful.
Okay, second phase of bans. Ari being banned from this Team Go Aurora. Maokai on the blue side being banned. Last two bans are ongoing. J-Real, tell me, who do you think they should... Oh, Seraphine. Who do you think they should prioritize right now?
So I think if you're Aurora, you got to take away some of the tops, right? Because you're playing against a Chromac who has been playing really, really consistently, has been getting a lot of picks, and plays Recton themselves a lot. So it's one that they're going to know, and they will know well. They'll know how to counter. Now, the Trundle being picked up there, I like it. It goes well into anyone that is going to try and build tanky, and there is a potential for the tank support, as we do see that Nautilus locked in to go with the Kaisar. I like that bot lane a lot, but it does feel like Big have answers to it. And now the final pick, it is going to be the top side most likely, unless they're throwing Trundle up there, maybe Rel in the jungle. But I believe it is going to be a top pick. There we go. The Malphite going to be locked in. I think a very strong pick to round of this comp.
Then let's talk about what are the winning conditions from both these compositions, starting off with Go Aurora.
So taking a look at Go Aurora's comp, it's clear that they really want to get Cosmic going on this Kai'Sa sooner rather than later. They've got really good setup and skirmish potential early between the Xin Zhao and the Syndra, and of course, I mean, the Renekton in the top. So their three top side are going to be really, really powerful, sort of in this early to mid game, especially as they look to perhaps take those early heralds and transition those into objectives elsewhere on the map.
Okay, J-Real, anything to add about these winning conditions, about the idea of this composition, about Aurora? What do you think is the most important thing about execution of this composition?
So it's going to be about not making mistakes in the later stages, right? Because they have been caught out by getting picked off before big team fights, before big objectives, that then kind of stalls them out from winning the game. And I will say, draft-wise, I'm really happy with how Go Aurora have drafted, because they did exactly what I wanted to see. They've played around Lilian, they've played around Cosmic, they've given those two the driver's seat when it comes to being the carries, but they've also given Sana something they can fight with early on, something they can cause big pressure with. So I'm very happy with how they're hitting their marks in terms of what they're going to be able to do in a team fight. But I will say, Big have also locked in a very good team to counter. They've got a lot of range, they've got a lot of kite potential. So if we are going to see a lot of dive coming out from Go Aurora, which they have drafted, there are ways that Big can play around that.
Yeah, and that's exactly those ways that I want to focus on now, Regulus. How can Big Aurora navigate through this game with this composition, with these champions?
Yeah, so I feel like the Xin Zhao is a really big pickup for Delicate, especially when you're playing into a lot of range. Obviously, when the Crescent Guard comes up, it just really protects your team in that unit. At the same time, it does open up your team's unit to that Malphite ult. So I think a lot of the emphasis is going to be really on ensuring that Sana gets those big leads over Crow to the point where this Malphite is so far behind that they're not really able to engage the fights. They're more just looking to peel for their carries. So I feel like they're going to have a lot of emphasis on the top side early, just looking to really just let the Kai'Sa slowly but surely scale up for much of the game, and try and just use Nautilus to mitigate that early dive potential from the Rel.
Okay, now let's try. No, this doesn't make any sense. I was about to say, just don't look at the names, just look at the compositions, and then see who would you favor. But the compositions really depend on the players, and if these teams are playing through their strengths, we cannot talk about the compositions without context. So, even so, do you still think Big is going to take this first game?
I think that they have, well, it's a very interesting one, right? I would love to just be like, yes, I do. I think overall, I think they have more potential too, because I think their late game scaling will be very strong. I think their late game team fight will be very strong, and that is what they've really shown to be good at. They're very, very good team fighters, and they have great setup for it. They have good engage from the Rel, the Jarvan, and the Malphite. It's going to set up very easily for their carries, Xavi and Vixen, who we've had seen many a time just put out the damage and do what they have to do. So I do think if they do get to the late game stable, they will be pretty happy. But I think the Aurora have a really good opportunity here to take the game away from them and really build that lead. However, through consistency, through past games, I do think Big have the advantage with the fact that they will scale, they will be able to compete, and I'm just still looking at Aurora to see, are you going to make it clean?
What about you, Regulus?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what JRO's just said here. You look to this Go Aurora comp, they really need to get it going early, because otherwise Big are just going to have those big tools in the end to really push them out in this late game. Again, so much emphasis is going to be put onto this top lane matchup, I feel, in ensuring that the Malphite isn't able to really turn into that big frontline tank that he needs to be in that late game. I feel that the Trundle pick is really important here for Trez. I mean, Trez has been a standout for them, and the ability to also carry through this Trundle with the support from the Zarya and the Xerath to really take it to this Xin Zhao as well is going to be really, really important for them.
Well, the stage is set. We do have lots of interesting picks here, lots of good tools for each team to work with for this upcoming match. I think it's, you mentioned something, this top side, but and I want you to tell me this, because Malphite, even though if he loses lane, is a really useful pick, no matter the state of the game. Malphite's ultimate is such an important tool for them, so even though he can be behind, do you feel like he could be used, against Go Aurora?
Yeah, like I think the Malphite was basically always going to be relevant. Like I think in the game, the last game that we saw yesterday, now I'm trying to remember who exactly was playing. I think it was Vitality French Bees versus, was it Team BDS Valkyries? I believe that even in that game, even though Valkyries were very ahead, the Malphite was still dangerous. The Malphite is still going to be a problem. I think top lane is much more of a problem for Go Aurora to get ahead, because realistically, if you're Big Chroma, you're very happy with Chromac just sitting in top lane, farming up, keeping stable.
Well, we are ready now for the first game of the day, so J-Real Regulus, take it away.
Thank you very much. Let's get into it. Game 1, the first semi-final of Pathfinders 2 knockout stage. And we talked a lot about this top lane. We've talked a lot about proactivity for Go Aurora, but I want to talk about this bot lane, Regulus. How are we expecting this one to set up? The Xayah into the Kaisar, the Nautilus also supporting them. That's a lot of damage, a lot of potential threat in those early stages. Yeah,
definitely. And serendipitous time for the pause, because it does allow us to sort of dive a little bit deeper into this. Obviously, with the Trundle and the Xin Zhao, there is a fairly limited setup. You obviously do have the Trundle pillar and the knock-up on the Xin Zhao on the third Q, but so much of their early game, their ability to get into lanes is going to depend on the setup. So you do have, both on the side of Lilian and on the side of Xerath, some form of setup there, but really, I think they're just going to be looking towards this bot side. This bot side, I feel, has a lot of potential to get very busy very quickly, as both Xin and Trundle will be sort of getting down there, trying to jostle, link up with Lumi, link up with Kiana to make these plays onto these carries, especially before Xayah and Kaiser both hit level 6, because the pair of them have, I mean, Xayah, well known for being a very strong anti-dive pick, but Kaiser as well, with the killer instinct, can get out of dodge in a pinch. So hitting this bot lane pre-6, looking towards these early Drakes, I feel like is going to be where Trez and Delica are putting all the eggs in their basket.
Yeah, and I do wonder, is there a slight thought from Team Aurora, from Go Aurora, whether they play similar to how Valkyries played against VFB yesterday, in the sense of going aggressive on the top side, getting the leads for Sana over that Malphite and causing big issues. I don't know if it's exactly what I'd want to see. I think playing around Lily and playing around Cosmic would yield much better results, but you never know, that is always potentially an angle. I feel like this mid lane for me is a big component of where I have my eyes set for the early levels, because I think if Vixen can utilize that range, she can build such a big advantage over Liliana, and will then force them to pay a lot of attention to mid. But right now in the bot lane, Kayana going to go aggressive here. Lumi trying to get the knock on Cosmic, but it was well dodged, and both supports trading a decent chunk of their HP.
Yeah, it's pretty clear already that these bot lanes are not going to concede anything. I definitely think today could be a day where we start to see some proper 2v2 kills come through. But look, Trez already just cleared red, coming down straight away on the level 2.
This is such an aggressive play early on, but it works, right? Lumi can just jump forward and get a knockback, and Kayana going to get caught out here. Now might have to flash early on, as here comes Trez. The distance has been closed, and goodbye to Kayana. And it's over to Xavi as well.
Yep, massive, and speaks a lot to what we were just talking about at the start of the game during that pause, where you want to be getting these bot lanes ahead. You want to be getting your sort of main carries going in this game, especially on the side of the Xayah, who I feel like needs to take just a little bit more time to really scale into the game. So this is really, really big from the side of Big, and just again another example of Trez just showing just why they've been such a standout player this tournament.
Yeah, we talked about them, we highlighted them as a player. They are one to watch. They're going to be proactive all the time on the Trundle. Not the greatest of early game picks ever, but still makes it work. Now, Delicate going for the invade here. I like the play. I like the sealing away of Trez's camps. Try and at least harm them some way that you can. But I think all in all, we need to see that Xin Zhao on the map, right? We need to see them start playing. It's very similar in terms of pick to a Jarvan. Like, yes, you will still be useful in the later stages, but in terms of impact on the game, you need to be hitting those early ganks, those pre-6 ganks, putting pressure, getting objectives early, and that's what I want to see from Delicate. I want to see ganks mid, ganks bot, really squeezing Big Chroma.
You're absolutely right there, JRL. Just this early proactivity is so crucial for both junglers here. Trez getting the prio there onto the Herald thanks to the bot lane state, and this Seraph a little bit behind here from in the side of Vixen, but should be able to equalize most of the CS. This mid lane matchup I think is going to be super interesting, especially as we don't really have the Tristana for the really heavy dives that we saw yesterday. However, the Xayah, when she lets the feathers fly, is able to drop the aggro on these dives, give it back over to Lumi, and then obviously the artillery comes in. So this combination could be absolutely lethal.
And one thing I mentioned a little bit earlier was about kind of not making mistakes in the late game, how Go Aurora had a little bit of trouble with that. Oh, hold on one sec, though. A big fight in the bot lane. There's the knock-up onto Cosmic, and the damage is being done. Tick of the Ignite not going to kill off the ADC, but the trade so heavy coming out of Big Chroma there. Once again, forcing them out of lane, building an advantage. And in the mid lane as well, Trez going to lead to an early gank, forcing the flash from Lilian, but maybe Delicate can turn this one around. Going to dash over the wall, now getting aggressive with the shock orb, stopping them, but there's the damage in Zhao. It's just too much, and Delicate going to pick up a solo kill themselves. So that's what we want to see. We talked about proactive plays, and there we go, Delicate on the map.
Absolutely fantastic work there from Delicate. So much burst comes out of Xin Zhao in this matchup against the Trundle. I mean, in the straight up 1v1 between the two, Trundle will naturally out damage them over time, but in this scenario where Trez was already pretty low from the gank, Delicate just comes in, chefs them up a little bit, and secures one for the side of Team Go.
No, and it's a really nice play, and obviously we get a little replay there. Exactly what went down. Started off with the stun.
Yeah, good work there. Nice pillar coming out from Trez, and then a good flash there from Lilian to get out of dodge, but a little overstay there from Trez. Perhaps they just don't acknowledge that the Xin Zhao is nearby, but in fact, actually looking at the health bar, it was pretty much full. The burst coming out from the Xin Zhao was really something.
Yeah, if you hit Wind Becomes Lightning, it's a lot of damage. Both parts really can ramp up, and obviously the autos, it's still very early on. No one's built many items. I don't even think they had items at that point in the game, so they're all going to be very squishy. Obviously, Trundle, when they do get level 6, when they get Subjugate, can become a big menace. But talking about level 6, Sana already starting to build a bit of a lead.
This is sort of... to be fair, I expected Sana to have already started to trade really heavily into Crow. It's what we saw Pivotless doing a lot yesterday, where they were just constantly trading into the Malphite early. Because early on, I mean, Malphite Renekton is completely unplayable for the Malphite, or at least it should be. Your abilities cost way too much to clear waves. You're constantly being pressured. You try to trade with the Croc, then the Croc's just going to sustain. But in this case, Crow is doing really well to neutralize the threat. Has already got that Bramble Vest in, so really good itemization initially. And yeah, this is not really what you want to see from Sana right now.
And I like that Lilian is keeping this one consistent. I was a little bit worried Vixen could abuse the range advantage, but so far hasn't gone their way. I think that was mainly because Delicate managed to get down there. But if we look down to the bot side, it is still a bit of a lead for Xavi over Cosmic, and it's definitely been a big win condition for Aurora to have Cosmic getting a lead, so I do wonder when they start to invest a little bit more into this lane. But if we do have a little bit of a take of the rest of the game, it is dead even between these two teams in terms of gold. The only thing separating is the Big picked up the first Drake.
Yeah, certainly. And looking back down to... oh, wait, Delicate. Perhaps looking for it here. Vision
I think it's a bit of a tough gank. Malphite does have ultimate.
They're looking for it.
What are they going to do? They're going. Low mana for Crow. I think they should just be able to get away, though. Using the ultimate, it's an easy one. It's unstoppable. You know, it's a lot of force, and they're out. Easy as said. But it's useful in the sense of I like the Delicate kind of played this one, went up, got that ultimate usage, but I kind of want them to use a bit more tempo there. I think if they maybe spend a little bit less time, get back on the map, go for the proactive plays mid and bot, they can definitely get a lot more. But releasing that pressure off of Sana is going to be pretty nice. It gives them a little bit more to do in that top side, and also has a lot more pressure over Crow. But I do think that the big wins are coming around the rest of the map.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking to the side of Big right now. I mean, the Xayah is almost, you know, sort of about 15 CS up, but also has the Cole, so this gold lead is only going to grow exponentially unless there's something done here from the side of Go. I feel like Delicate right now needs to just really try to work with their bot lane here, but here comes Trez.
Oh, Trez with the pillar to stop Kana getting away, and now here comes the Magnet Storm, the dive in. They have too much damage, and Kana going to go down once again. They have been focused very hard by the side of Big Chroma, and now tower plating's going to fall as well to Xavi. This increases the lead, now 1,200 ahead. We talked about bot lanes, we talked about mid lanes, and so far it is Big Chroma that is making their win condition come alive.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Xavi was such a standout alongside Trez, alongside the rest of the team. But now, Lilian getting a nice trade there onto Vixen. But not too more right now, and there's some trading going on in the top lane.
Oh, and Malphite with the armor starting to pick up wins. Obviously, Sana has only built health, so they don't have any AD yet. But not the nicest feeling for the Croc against the Rock.
Yeah, I mean, the Croc also has the Cole, so it's clear that Sana really wants to try and invest a little bit early at a time when they're pretty safe into this Malphite, because they know that the junglers are going to be working towards the sort of bot side of the map. So for Sana, picking up the Cole, just really trying to push their advantage or gain an advantage, because they're a little bit down on Crow right now. I like the thinking. I really like the thinking.
But we'll see if it pays off, because obviously, and maybe this is just an old school thought, but Renekton for me, very early game focus champ. Yes, can become prominent in the late game if you're, 5k gold ahead. Shout out to C. But in terms of if you're pretty even with someone, I don't think that the impact that they're going to have in team fights is going to be the same as the Malphite, right? I think Crow will definitely become the more dominant in the team fights later on, and I think realistically, if you're Sana, it's kind of getting yourself in a way that you can split push and be a menace like you were on that Garen yesterday's game, to really kind of pull the resources and the utility that Big Chroma have around the map.
Drake coming up in 15 seconds. Trez's bot yet again looking to see if she can find something, another pick. Perhaps there's so much pick power here in that bot side between the jungler as well. The pillar comes out. Lumi crashes down and in with the Magna Storm, and obviously the feathers will get pulled back. It's just so much lockdown on the spot side, but yeah, the Prio already there, and there should be a Drake going over to the side of Big.
Yeah, we haven't seen the Herald dropped either from Delicate. They still have that in their inventory, as we are going to see Trez pick up that dragon there. So 2 dragons now over to Big Chroma. They are scaling into the Soul, which is going to be the Cloud Souls right now. An aggressive play is not going to go their way. Lumi going to get dragged back. Ultimate, though, having to be used by Kayana there, so no depth charge, and Herald was dropping out. Trez in the bot lane, causing problems. Cosmic going to have to flash away, and again, the pressure just stacking on Go Aurora's bot lane. Once more, Trez appears, and once more, they get forced out.
But look on the top side now, Delicate coming in for Crow. No unstoppable force right now.
No unstoppable force, but does have flash. Maybe going to flash over this wall near to us. Is going to be able to get there, and now the blast cone. Goodbye. Crow is away.
I can't believe Crow with the heist right there. Getting out of danger, is able to flash the wall, take the blast cone out. See you later, baby. The little banana play back over the wall into the bush, and away they go. Fantastic.
And we talked about weak cons. We're now starting to see Big pull away a little bit. They're 1k gold ahead, and they're scaling where it matters, right? They're really starting to build up Xavi, and we talked about how strong this carry can be when they are played around, and they are going to be in that position. Now, what I want to see from Team Go Aurora is to maybe start grouping up for some of these fights, because they do have a lot of early power, right? The Xin Zhao has shown that they can put in a lot of work, and Lilian has been winning a lot of these trades against Vixen, but it's just been a bit of trading here, a bit of trading there. No kills have been secured, and I want them to kind of double down on that, because if they can start to get this Syndra ahead, well, then that problem that was the Xayah will start to fade away.
Yeah, it is going to be fairly difficult, obviously, when you're playing against the Xerath. Big artillery mage just wants to stay really far back. So you know that as soon as you're playing into that, you kind of need to commit to a dive, but can be super spooky, especially considering that Trez can cover so much ground so quickly when they put the sort of ice ball down. But it looks like now that Kiana has been moved into the top side, could give Sana a little bit of extra gold there from the relic. Ah, yep.
And
lovely.
talking about spooky, we are going to be going to the mid lane here. Trez once again ganking, and bot lane though, Lilian being put down there against Xavi. We talked about it. I'm telling you, Syndra is an ADC's worst nightmare. And I don't know if they have the unleashed power. They didn't want to press it. I think they could have used it to force out the Featherstorm there, but they weren't going to. Didn't pull the trigger. I think they could have even potentially got the solo kill on that bot lane, but it isn't to be. And yeah, I want to bring up a little bit of side topic, right? We talked about expectations. We talked about the game. We've seen how it's unfolded so far, but let's talk about skin choices, right? Because Fright Night Trundle is probably one of my favorite like skin lines just ever. I love this skin line.
Look at
the
it.
Nautilus one as well.
Gorgeous. Yeah, skin choices on point. In fact, I mean, how many skins does Ro actually have now? I swear Ro only has like 3.
Three? I want to say.
3?
Well, actually, I'm trying to think. They have the Kingdoms one, which Lumi is using now.
Yeah, it's showing.
They have the base skin.
Yeah.
What's the third skin?
I don't know.
Maybe they only have 2.
Let's have a quick look, shall we?
Yeah, we'll fact check that one. I also know Fright Night genuinely one of my favourite. Nautilus also has a Fright Night skin, by the way, where he looks like a Fire Lantern ghost Pokemon, which I can't remember exactly the name of it, and I love it. I think Fright Night is a great skin line. I want them to bring more of those back. I just love how it feels and looks. But one thing I also do love is that Team Go Aurora are starting to push the pedal to the middle. They're starting to get a bit of proactive plays going, getting some control around this mid lane, but it is still Big Chroma in control of all of the neutrals. They're now going to be able to take up another Herald, and in 1 minute 15, I imagine they're setting their sights on that dragon.
Yeah, so for me, with pre-game, I was like, right, Go, they really want to use the power that they have in their sort of top side to really get these Heralds, but alas, it is Big who is able to transition some of their early leads. Crow is absolutely chilling right now. Although the cull is complete now on the Reddington, still a 700 gold lead. It's kind of spooky. In fact, actually, I'm just reading that wrong, because it's actually Sana that has the 700 gold lead. That's a big MB on that one. it's because Big's in blue on the leaderboard on the top. Okay, it's my bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, so Sana has got that extra bit of gold coming in. But if you look at the gold advantage on the bot lane there, a full item pretty much worth of gold ahead on the Xayah. So fed right now, and it really is a testament to how well Big has played around their sort of win con super early, and just really fantastic play coming out from Trez, and Vixen is just chilling here in this mid lane as they look to drop the Herald and hopefully crack this mid tower.
Yeah, and I think Sano going to try and invest in the same, going to try and get that top tower. It is going to be mid, one down, setting them up for this dragon. We saw this one coming a mile off. Third Drake going to be the one to put them onto Cloud Soul Point. And I don't think there's going to be a contention from Go Aurora. I do like that they're pushing up mid, and they're maybe going to look for that tier 1 themselves in the mid lane, which would be a 2 tower for 1 tower and a dragon. And I actually think in this state of the game would be a big win for Go Aurora, but Vixen is back with the poke. And so is Xavi. They are going to stop them from getting any further damage down on this tower. But look at the damage that they can do from a poke situation here. This game is not over. Xavi still has to be very careful. And Lilian is the one I'm looking for to really do the damage from Team Go.
I completely agree. Lilian. Oh, Vixen getting caught here with the Unleashed Power coming out.
Taken down. Unleashed Power picks up 1 kill. And now they could look for more underneath that tower. They are able to be a little bit safer, but Go Aurora now starting to rear their head, now starting to show that they have a lot of potential here. And look at the hook! Going to go slightly short because of the Feather Storm. But again, the danger, the potential that they have, Go starting to press the button. And it is starting to work out for them. Here comes Lumi. Magnet Storm going to catch out 3. And here's Trez trying to get the engage back on. And they are going to not get this one turned around. It's already 1 down for the side of Big. And they are losing this team fight. Crow now going to be the next one to the slaughter. And Trez going to follow soon. 1 more ulti from Cosmic gets the kill. And it is just Xavi left alive under the tower. And Go press the button. And they start to win.
Wow. Absolutely fantastic work from Go. They really needed this to get back on track in this game. Sana picking up 2 kills there now. 2,000 gold up on Crow. This is exactly what they needed to see. And a couple hundred gold back onto the Kaiser too. So just really well done from Go here. I'm sure as we've seen on the replay, it starts with that pick onto Vixen if the replay is ready. We'll see it shortly, I hope. But yeah, we get the initial pick onto Vixen. Here we go here between the towers. But I think we'd already seen that. Yep, the Magnet Storm comes out here from Lumen. This is after the fact. Trez finding it really difficult to find an avenue into this fight. And the Malphite does get the ult in, but it's basically just sort of left on an island. Trez is still sort of running around, trying to figure out how they want to fight. The Xayah was already low. The feathers had already flown. So there was so many tools that had already been used on the side of Big. And it just set Go Aurora up perfectly.
And this is the difficulty in a fight for Xavi when we see Lilian still alive and you don't have Feather Storm, because any stun could lead to your death and you have to play very cautiously, which stops you from really getting into those fights. And then you saw Cosmic just able to do what they wanted. They were able to roam around the fight, pick their targets and just absolutely destroy health bars. And if Vixen isn't alive, it is a huge loss for Big, because the range control, it just keeps them really out of this fight. And we have to see how they play as a 5. But as I said, Go Aurora, they have the potential to start winning in the early game, and I'm glad that they pushed that button, because now they're looking in a much better state.
Just spot on, J-Ro. I feel like we've seen Lilian be able to really chunk out Xavi a couple times now, and that's something which Xavi really needs to be cognizant of as she proceeds through this game. And it says a lot as well, speaking earlier about the fact that if Go wanted to kill this Serath, they would have to go deep. And deep they did. They got the prio and were able to invade that topside jungle and make it happen between the towers. So just really great awareness from Go to understand what they need to be doing if they are going to assassinate this Serath, if they are going to ensure that they can take secure fights without the threat of this really fed Xayah, what was the really fed Xayah, absolutely shredding through their team.
Yeah, now let's not get this twisted. Xavi is still very far ahead, right? Oh. 2,400 gold ahead of Cosmic. They are very strong. They are slightly below in levels, but they are definitely up there. 2 items now completed, 1 to definitely watch out for. But I do think that the Syndra is going to be a looming threat. Now, who can deal with the Syndra? Vixen, Trez, Crow. They can make a scene. They can cause big problems for them. Also, Lumi could jump in and cause major issues for Lilian. So it's not that the Syndra is completely safe, but if Syndra is alive, Xavi isn't.
That's for sure. I feel like Lilian just does so much, so well when it comes to setting up her team for success. She, you see her time and time again throughout this event. She's played, what am I looking for here? Yes, she's played obviously the Syndra, she's played the Ori, she's played the Seraphine, she's played picks that while can scale and can obviously be great into team fights and great for picking, but she just picks so well, and she just really works hard to ensure that the rest of the team can follow up, can get those kills, can get those picks. So, you know, kudos to her for once again showing up on this stage.
Now, looking at how they win this game, though, because we talked about win conditions, we've talked about who needs to be strong, how they need to fight, but how do they play the map, right? 3 dragons to big, next one's given 16 seconds, and so far Aurora are not in a good position to take the contention of this because they don't have river control. Chroma is already there, already setting up, and you don't want to walk into that Malphite, and it almost feels like they're just going to have to give this one up. And Cloudsoul, people could say, okay, well, it's not the greatest, but for some of these members, it is going to be really strong. If you give that over to the Trundle, if you give that to the Rel, they can cause major problems. And I do like that Aurora are trying to trade this from the Baron, but they have to go as a unit. But Big, already seeing this, are going to start moving over, and maybe they even give over this dragon and go for this play, because Baron is being started. It is half HP, and right now the Xerath damage is there, but the Baron is going to be taken. They've already picked it up, and now the fight after how many can they keep? Can they keep the buff intact? Because Lilian is low, and there's the knocker from the Malphite. Lilian going to go down. Cosmic is getting away, but look at the HP bar. They are so low. I don't think anyone is going to be able to get in close with them, but the Baron, beautiful play from Aurora. Great macro, great timing, and good tempo to steal that one away, slowing down the game for themselves, and they also stopped Big from even taking this dragon so far.
Absolutely agree there, J-Roll. Great timing there from Go. I'm a little bit surprised that Trez didn't just finish the Drake. I feel like they were pretty good.
TP flank.
TP flank coming in from Sana right now.
Sana going really far away from the fight that was starting, and it is now caused a bit of problem for Delicate, who is half HP, and now Big going to start rotating towards this dragon. I think they're going to look for this soul, although Trez is a little bit low, so maybe he just wants to kind of recuperate a bit of HP. But so far, Aurora have almost basically said that they don't care about this soul. They went for the Baron play, now they're looking for the mid play. And I do kind of like this adaptation because, yes, the Cloudsoul isn't going to give them a huge stat buff in terms of damage, but think about the problems that are going to arise when Trundle is now running at you after hitting the subjugate button. My only question is, did Team Go just 400 IQ this to put the Elder Dragon on the map?
I feel like it's a really good thing for Go to get this Elder Dragon on the map, as you've just pointed out, J-Real. But it looks like, oh, wait, am I going to be able to finish this? Or are Big going to look for this in the topside jungle? They're on the run. Here comes Trez.
They're going aggressive. Here they go. Cosmic getting knocked up and taken down immediately. The Xerath damage is too much, and now they move forward. Big, with the increased move speed, are just chasing them down. And Lilian, the danger that we talked about, is being hounded by 3 members, and none of them are squishy. They also have Xavi in the back, but the damage is just there. And Big take another team fight. They take the lives of Team Go Aurora, with Sana, I believe, the only one left with the Baron buff.
Perfect timing for Big to take this fight. They get the Drake, they get the soul, they reset, which is what almost became their undoing shortly beforehand. We're able to reset, get those items brought in, come back onto the refresh, and then look straight away for a fight to try and get Baron off as many members of Go as possible. This is just really smart play from the side of Big. And beforehand, when we look to the Baron, when we look to the trade, yeah, actually, I'll talk about that in a second. Let's look at this dive here. Crow getting straight onto Cosmic, which is great. The artillery fire from the Xerath doing so much. We've seen it time and time again this game. The ability for the Kaiser to play the game has diminished so greatly just by the sheer amount of damage, and they had great lockdown onto Lilian. But I do want to say that coming back to that Baron Dragon dance trade that we saw from Big, I feel like the decision for I'm sure whoever called it, to get the rest of Big back over to the Nash, if they're a little bit snappier on it, I feel like it could have been so much worse for Go. Because when you look at what Big can do between the Xerath and the Xayah, as we saw on that Nash fight, they can just poke and harass and make it so miserable for teams trying to do objectives while they're, you might get the Trundle in the split, while their sort of extra member is just doing that other objective. So again, just really great awareness from Big of how their comp is supposed to play and what they can do in certain scenarios. But wow, I mean, for Go, they had this moment where they were like, right, we've got this Nash, we've turned it, we've got our kills, we've got our picks, we're back in this. But now this game has once again the pendulum swinging back in the favor of Big.
And I think Go Aurora, I feel like they showed both sides of the coin that I talked about early on, right? They make really good proactive play. They get the Baron. They manage to get some members away. They stay alive. They push aggressively into tier 2. They take out the tower while Big are picking up that last dragon. But then they overstay. They get caught out, they get picked up, and then Big turn that into a huge win themselves and take the mid inhib. So it's those small mistakes that Aurora overstaying, they're getting caught out, that need to change, because without those, they could have had such a great steal. It was such a good play for them, but can they now recuperate and bring this one back? Because Big are looking to start knocking down these towers. The waves are pushing in mid, they're forcing this one top, and you have to be careful because Chromac is looking to dive into this tower, but a good stun from Lilian will dissuade them. But here comes the push. They're going for this siege, and there isn't too much that they can do to stop it. Team Go are going to have to walk away, and another tower is going to fall.
It's so difficult for Go to approach these waves right now. Look how low range their comp is. They try and walk up on the wave to clear it. They'll just take a big old Xerath blast to the face. It's so scary for them to try and counteract this big push. But I think then the big thing for me is going to be this Nash that comes up in the next minute. I feel like if Big take this Baron, they'll literally just be able to run down Go, siege them perma, and take home this game before they even get a chance to get onto this Elder.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that Team Go try and stall it out, right? That they stall it out for this Elder rate, because then you give a bit of a power play, right? Do you go for the Dragon? Do you go for the Baron? Is there a way that Team Go can pick up either? Because if they do take one, they can maybe start holding the game at ransom. They can maybe start stalling the game out. And with the late game, there is the Kaisar, with the Syndra, it could just be one fight that takes it all for them. But it might be this one right here. Kayana going to go aggressive here. Stun from Syndra is big, but Magnet Storm on the back with the Malphite. They already take down Lily Ann, and now the danger is on Team Aurora. They're going aggressive onto Trez, but look at the survival. Look at the live. They're still up, and Crow has just been killing this backline. ADC and mid lane are already gone. Vixen still in the picture, though, still very high HP. But a good save from Team Go. Aurora, Delicate and Sana doing enough to force them back away.
What a fantastic dive from Sana, by the way. Getting straight into the big backline and just completely eviscerating Xavi before she can really do much. The feathers had already flown, but in the end, you know, she was flown back to that fountain pretty sharpish. She was completely devoured by the crocodile.
And we get to see it again. As we are going to see the dive, as you said, yeah, straight back, no answer possible for Xavi. They just immediately go down. And then it is a pretty nice look from Big in terms of their backline. It felt like basically both backlines just got dove, and it was whoever can survive the longest. Vixen obviously did live a little bit longer. But in general there, we go back to this game. Baron has spawned, and it is all in Big Chroma's favor. They are taking this one, no contention from Team Go Aurora, who surely have to be now getting pro for this Dragon.
Certainly, and to be fair to Team Go, when you look at the way they've been able to actually team fight this game, we've spoken before about how scrappy they can be, how much they like to skirmish, but some of the team fighting from Go has been really good.
It has been indeed. They are a very good team fight team, as I don't know, they're getting maybe a little bit too far forward though. Early Featherstorm is going to catch out Sana and then gets the root, and now they're trying to cut this one away, but they need a little bit of help. Team is going to come back and cause problems for the Croc, but on the other side, Cosmic gets lifted up and taken down. Trez now chasing down Lily, and the drop is being taken. The damage from Vixen is too much, and their team fight is all Big Chroma.
I cast a curse them. I'm so sorry, Aurora. I've done it again. But alas, Big coming straight out of the fountain. They get their buys in. They're like, right, it's time to rumble. We've hit this point in the game. We've hit the 30-minute mark where our team fight is so strong. And they go in. They absolutely decimate Go Aurora. And they're looking to take the first game of this series.
1-0 to Big Chroma. Go Aurora kind of hitting the marks that we expected, right? They were able to get some early plays. They were able to put up a bit of a lead. But again, small slip-ups, small misplays, which Big Chroma capitalized on, right? We talked about this time and time again. When they played against G2 Hell, Big Chroma, anytime they got an opportunity, they took it with both hands. They were never letting go of that stuff. Any option that they get to take in their favor, they do, and they showed it time and time again. They're good at team fighting, they're good at making people make mistakes, and they're good at capitalizing on it. And Big Chroma, they showed all of that. Team Aurora have to kind of go back to that drawing board and scratch up a few notes, because they definitely had ways that they could have won this game themselves.
Yeah, certainly. I feel like Aurora, after they got that first good fight where they got the pick onto the Zerath, where they were able to transition that into a couple more kills, and they really did well to bring themselves back into the game. They nabbed the Nash and they had their moments, but Big's ability to just really understand their windows for fighting, and any sort of mistake, any misstep there from the side of Team Go, and they were just straight on them. It was just furious, absolutely furious from them.
Furious and pretty fast. But with that being said, we are going to be throwing to a short break so we can get Anna back in, and then she can help us break down. Although, hold on one sec, actually. Hold on one sec. I've still got a few more points, right?
Okay.
I was thinking, let's talk about picks, right? Let's talk about picks a little bit, because one thing I want to talk about is I talked about how I really liked Aurora's draft. I really liked that they were able to essentially build a comp around that mid bot lane, but I feel like they still didn't really play to it. And part of me is thinking, and I want to get your take on this one, do we maybe want to see Delicate go back on something a bit more aggressive, back on something like the Bel'Veth, because it looked very good in the last game yesterday?
I think it depends on the balance of the composition that Aurora wants to go for. We saw in that sort of game 3 against the Bees, when they sort of had this sort of Garen Bel'Veth duo, the balance of the team was a little bit janky. I think nowadays you just want to have a little bit of solidarity, maybe between your jungle and support, or perhaps somewhere in the top lane. But it is a look that they can go for. It's one which they've obviously shown up on before, but at the same time, I don't think it's necessarily something that Big is going to be sort of taken surprised by. I feel like Sana didn't get far ahead enough early against Crow. Obviously, she did come back in, but perhaps we're looking for something on this top side that maybe has a little bit more scaling to it. Just something that doesn't put so much emphasis on this Sire late, if they do want to go for that. I feel like either one of Sana or Delicate have to play something facilitative. I don't think both of them can go straight for the carries, unless, of course, Lilian does go onto something like, like a Galio, or just something that is really, all about holding it down in the mid lane.
Yeah, Galio definitely a little bit stronger on this patch as well. Did get some nice buffs, did definitely got a little bit stronger. But I will say, in terms of how I want to see it, I'm scratching my head. I'm thinking, okay, what would Aurora need to do to pick up a win here? And part of me is thinking actually along the lines of what you were saying about maybe swapping up what Sana plays and maybe giving them a little bit more agency, and maybe saying, okay, you know what we'll do? Cosmic has been so consistent. We put them on something maybe a little bit safer, something like the Sivir, something that can keep them very just to themselves and scaling slowly. And then we maybe put a bit more agency in the top side to which our jungler can play to, and then try and get Sana ahead, because we already know that Big Chroma are playing around Xavi. They're playing around Vixen, and especially that bot lane, because you saw Trez 3 ganks early on, and it just felt like the same energy wasn't reciprocated from Go Aurora. Is that due to timing? Is that due to Trez just making their life a bit of a misery? Yeah, possibly. But if you know that's going to happen, maybe playing to that top side could be a little bit better. And we already know that Sana has picks, right? Set, Riven, Aatrox, all been played before. Yeah,
certainly. I definitely feel that if you're not going to be able to really get your bot lane going, I mean, credit to Trez. That level 2 gank was an inspired piece of pathing from them. But if they do want to play towards Sana here, then definitely more eggs in the basket. Want to see Delicate getting up into that top side more and really ensuring that the top laner gets the leads that they really need to get ahead and to be a big force into this next game.
Yeah, and talking about big force, obviously Big Chroma, they kick it off as a 1-0. We are going to go to a short break. We'll see if Big Chroma can continue their destruction through this tournament. But for now, we're going to get a little bit of a water, a little bit of a food, and then we'll be back to break this down.